Okay, today we are talking about MAC address and ARP. MAC address simply means media access control. Now, when we say MAC address, what do we actually mean? MAC address is that physical address that is attached to all devices that want to communicate or that want to connect with one another, most especially in a local area network. So it simply means your phone, your wristwatch, and all those IoT devices that you are using at home, they all have MAC address. And the purpose of them having that MAC address is so that they can be able to communicate with those devices around them. So that is the essence of MAC address. So MAC address is just like an identity that is actually placed on every devices so that they can be able to identify one another in a local network. Now, what are the things that MAC address can do? Number one is that MAC address help devices to identify one another in a local area network. Number two is that it also helps the switch to know where to send data. Let's say, for example, in an organization, 50 computers are connected to one another. So with the help of MAC address, if one of those devices want to send data to another device, with the help of MAC address, that device will be able to locate that other device that is sending the particular data to. So there will be no misconfiguration, so that the data can actually go where it's supposed to go. MAC address work at layer 2, which is the data link in OSI model. We are going to talk about OSI model in our next class. Now, between MAC address and IP address, which one change? Now, number one thing you need to understand there is IP address, which is internet protocol, usually change. Most especially the public IP address usually change. Why the private IP don't usually change? Now, does that also apply to MAC address as well? Yes, same thing. You see, in MAC address, we have two types of MAC address. We have hardware MAC address and we have software MAC address. Now, when we say hardware MAC address, this one is just like your original name, the name that they gave to you. Okay, let me use myself as an example. My name is Olalekon. That is my original name, right? Now, that is my what? That's my hardware MAC address. Now, my nickname is what? Is Lakewest. Now, that Lakewest now is what? Is the software MAC address. Now, tomorrow may come now. I may decide to say, okay, don't call me Lakewest again. Call me Wilson. So we can see, I can change my software MAC address, but I can't change my hardware MAC address. So on Kalilinus, some people, most especially the ethical hackers, whenever we are doing some penetration testing or some security testing, we may have to change our MAC address, you understand, just to disguise. So that is one of the things. Some people actually change MAC address so that they can actually maintain their privacy. Some people use it to bypass some rules and some restrictions. So everybody have their own purpose of changing MAC address. But what you need to understand here is that the only MAC address that you can change is actually the software MAC address. Because the hardware MAC address, it is the MAC address that the manufacturer of that particular device puts that they burn in that particular device that you are using. So you cannot change it. And whatever soft MAC address you actually change to, that can actually be temporary or permanent. Sometimes when you change your software MAC address, the moment you reboot or you restart the particular device, it will change back to the original one. So you have to go and do some setting to put it in a permanent phase. Now let's talk about the second one, which is ARP. ARP simply means Address Resolution Protocol. Now this is whereby one device find another device MAC address by using its own IP. You see, all those devices in our local area network, let's say for example, in an organization, we have 50 computers that are connected to one another. Now, maybe computer A now want to communicate to computer G. You understand? Now, computer A will use the IP address that I know about computer G. You understand? We just raise it up and say, okay, who owns this IP? Then computer B will reply. Computer D will reply by saying, it is my IP. My MAC address is so. And the moment they are able to communicate like that, then there will be communication between them. That means computer A can now send word to computer D. So it is this ARP that allow one computer to transfer or to send data to another computer within the local area network. So for any of those computers that are connected within our organization, for one of them to communicate with another or to send data from one computer to another, they need what we call ARP. So it is when this ARP has been solved, that is when they will be able to transfer one data from one computer to another computer. So this ARP work in internal network, not on the internet. So it is within those computers that are inside our organization that all this ARP protocol work. And the moment the protocol is able to establish, there will be communication. Now, why do you need MAC address and ARP? Why do they matter in cyber security? Most people think that hacking happens only on internet, but the major attack usually happen in internal network through what we call ARP and MAC address. This is where the organization actually have to do a lot of work. Now, what are the common attacks that can actually happen? Now, the first kind of attack that can happen is what we call ARP spoofing. Let me explain ARP spoofing in a layman that you understand. I know you have listened to a story of tortoise and the bird. Now, you remember that tortoise told all the bird that whenever they get to the party, his own name is what is all of you. Abi? Now, what tortoise did here is what we call ARP spoofing. Now, tortoise was trying to take in charge of everything, was claiming to be all of them, so that whenever the food comes, only what we have it. So at the party, anytime they bring food, you understand? So that food now is like what? The IP, you understand? That food has IP address. That's okay. This food is for all of you. Then tortoise will not claim and say, yes, I am all of you. You understand? So tortoise will show his identity. We bring up his own what? His own MAC address, which is okay, I am all of you. Then the food will be delivered to only tortoise. And tortoise will eat and what? And become satisfied. So that is how exactly ARP spoofing works. For instance, let's say we have 5 computers. So computer A want to communicate to computer E. Now, computer A now have the IP address of where he want to send that data to. You understand? He has the IP address of computer E. You understand? But he actually did not know whether it's computer B or C or D or E that owns it. You understand? So computer A will now say, hey, who owns this IP address? You understand? Now, when the ARP spoofing will work is that, let's say another computer now come, which is computer F. Now, if computer F now quickly say, I own that IP address, so this is my MAC address, and submitted it to computer A. That means ARP spoofing has happened. Even if this original one, the owner, later say, I own the IP, this is my MAC address. This one will keep saying, it is my own, and keep sending what? The MAC address to the computer A, so that computer A will believe it, and it will not be the one that will receive it. You understand? So it now depends on the last response. You understand? The last response or the last catch. You understand? That happened between them. So that is when what ARP spoofing attack work. You understand? So this computer just came from nowhere and claim it. So that is why MAC address is very, very dangerous, because it doesn't verify any communication. You understand? His own is just to raise an alarm and say, who was this IP? And anybody can claim it. So that is ARP spoofing. Number 2 is MAC spoofing. Sometimes attacker can change their MAC address to look like one of the computer MAC address in the organization, so that anytime the internal workers or the internal staff send sensitive data, you understand, to that particular computer that they are targeting, so it will just hijack it and take it away. So that's MAC spoofing. So it's a situation whereby attacker change his own MAC address to mimic one of those computers that is working internally within the organization. And he is also part of the network, such that anytime they now send that sensitive file, he will just claim it he will just claim it by saying it is his own IP address, and they will be able to receive those sensitive data. Now, how the organization protects their MAC and ARP communication? Number 1 is they use what we call switch security. Now, they make sure that they get a rigid switch that actually have a strong security embedded in them. This switch limits the number of ports that will be open. Then it also blocks unknown MAC address. So they use what we call a switch security to do that. That's number 1. Number 2 is that they use what we call ARP verification. So they make sure that all the computers that are connected, the computer that want to send to the other computer within the organization, they make sure that if any of the computer claim the IP, this particular computer must verify it before sending any data to it. So that's what we call ARP verification. communication. That's number 2. Number 3 is encryption. They make sure that they encrypt any kind of data. They encrypt it, they tokenize any kind of data that they are sending from one computer to another. So that even if attackers perform ARP spoofing or man in the middle attack, if they are able to get the data, they will not be able to do anything with the data because the data is actually encrypted. Number 4 is that they do what we call network segmentation. Is that they separate admin network from normal user network. They separate normal user network from server network. So they segment it. Every network have their own lane, have their own route. So they don't mix everything together. So that they will be able to monitor and inspect all network communication. So that is that about MAC address and ARP. Just know that MAC address is that physical address that they attach to all devices so that they can be able to communicate with one another in a local area network. While ARP, it is that particular link that helps you to locate a MAC address of a device using the IP address. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, follow, share so that more people can actually learn from this. Thank you. See you in my next video.